CSRF stands for Cross-Site Request Forgery. It is a type of security vulnerability that occurs when a malicious website or attacker tricks a user's browser into making an unintended and potentially harmful request to another website where the user is authenticated. The attacker takes advantage of the fact that the browser includes all relevant authentication cookies with the request, making it appear legitimate. How does cross-site request forgery work? An attacker's aim for carrying out a CSRF attack is to force the user to submit a state-changing request. For examples: submitting or deleting a record, submitting a transaction, purchasing a product, changing a password, sending a message. Social engineering platforms are often used by attackers to launch a CSRF attack. This tricks the victim into clicking a URL that contains a maliciously crafted, unauthorized request for a particular web application. The user's browser then sends this maliciously crafted request to a targeted web application. The request also includes any credentials related to the particular website, for example, user session cookies. If the user is in an active session with a targeted web application, the application treats this new request as an authorized request submitted by the user. Thus, the attacker succeeds in exploiting the web application's CSRF vulnerability. CSRF attack targets web applications failing to differentiate between valid requests and forged requests controlled by attacker. There are many ways for an attacker to try and exploit the CSRF vulnerability. To successfully launch this attack, the success of a CSRF attack depends on a user's session with a vulnerable application. The attack will only be successful if the user is in an active session with the vulnerable application. An attacker must find a valid URL to maliciously craft. The URL needs to have a state-changing effect on the target application. An attacker also needs to find the right values for the URL parameters. Otherwise, the target application might reject the malicious request. There is common question: what is the difference between cross-site request forgery attack and cross-site scripting? Cross-site request forgery and cross-site scripting are different types of attacks, though they can be used in concert. Both of them are common JavaScript vulnerabilities. For cross-site request forgery to work, the user must currently authenticate in an application through which the attacker can send a request. It is considered a one-way attack because requests can only be shipped with CSRF but not received. It is considered a one-way attack. This attack exploits an application or website's trust for the user. On the other hand, cross-site scripting does not require authentication but only for the user to visit a particular website on which the XSS script is then executed within the user's browser. Because it allows for requests to be sent and received, so it is considered a two-way attack or vulnerability. This attack exploits the trust that a user has in the website. We will discuss cross-site scripting in upcoming lessons.